want to point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I want to hope gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the, wait a minute, what is it that we're welcoming people to? I'm going to have it. I'm going to have it soon.
256, 257?
400 and something. I didn't have it up on my computer because I was having such a delightful conversation there. And, okay. There it is, 468th edition of Energy Week. We have a monk seal as our first picture.
Yes. He
Energy
looks
Week
very
is
comfortable there.
Yes, he is.
Let's try and get him up. Where is he?
He's right there.
There he is.
Energy Week is put together out of my blog, geoharvey.com. If you scroll down on the screen that you're looking at, you'll see a place where you can actually go to the blog, the posting that Tom and I use to put it together, or you can download the file that we work from. And our first item is from BBC.
Yeah, let's put the monk seal up again. He's taking a nap.
Yeah, he's taking a nap, and for his nap, he is resting on
a fishing net.
A fishing net loaded with plastic junk. And it's an abandoned fishing net. It shows you how completely sad, and he's got these things that look like nautical mines behind him.
Well, they're not basketballs.
They're not. Okay, what do you got for a title? This is from the BBC.
Oh, I bet you I could figure that one out.
I bet you can.
COP26 promises will hold warming under 2 degrees centigrade.
Well, isn't that amazing? The carbon-cutting promises made at COP26 would see the world warm by just under 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century, according to an analysis. Now, there's ways that you can get it down below that using techniques that have not really been introduced yet, and we'll get to one of those. I'm thinking about that article about grass. Miscanthus?
Oh, yes. The
study finds that if all pledges that countries made are implemented, quote, in full and on time, end quote, temperatures will rise by 1.9 to 2 degrees Celsius. But then, of course, what we've got is countries saying, yeah, we'll do it. And then they do? They invade the Ukraine.
Well, there's a 6 to 10% chance of staying under 1.5 C.
Yeah.
That's not very much.
No.
Well, countries have set levels for the short term, which is up to 2030.
Yeah.
Which would see temperatures rise by 2.6 degrees C.
Yeah.
This century.
Yeah.
With devastating consequences for millions of people.
Yes.
This is not good news.
No.
If countries fulfill their longer-term goals of reducing warming gases to as close to zero as possible, then the impact on temperatures is far greater.
Right.
Okay, going beyond the levels recorded in the middle of the 19th century is dangerous for the world.
Yeah.
Okay, particularly for people, and this is interesting, living on small island nations.
Yes. Well,
which are disappearing as we speak.
Yes, that's true. Do you have more on that? Or?
I got one other thing. A study says that there is actually a little better than a 50% chance of keeping temperatures below 2C if these targets are implemented. What's making that unlikely is that in the short term, carbon emissions are going up, not down.
Yes, and in the short term,
CO2 will increase by 13% by 2030.
Right, and in the short term, people are far more worried about a war in the Ukraine, and that could conceivably spread to other places. Although I don't think it is.
Well, this is a more serious event because it includes the entire world.
Yeah, but people are worried about that war, so they're focusing on the war instead of climate change. And okay, well, actually, I think we can focus on both.
Let's move along here.
Let's
We got a
do
nice
that.
picture coming
We
up
have a
here.
picture here of a
Looks like
battery.
a refrigerator.
It does, but it is actually a battery.
Well,
that
it's
is-
not just a battery. It's a plastic
It's
battery.
a plastic battery. This is
which
from,
we talked about last week.
we did indeed. This is MIT Technology Review. This tells us more about plastic batteries. What do you have for a title?
These plastic batteries could help store renewable energy on the grid.
Wow. A new type of battery made from electrically conductive
Push that
polymers
picture up there again.
could help make energy storage on the grid cheaper and more durable, enabling a greater use of renewable power. The batteries are made by Boston's near here, a startup company called Polyjoule. And Joule here, by the way, is Joule, not Jewel.
It's interesting because these, I'm going to put the battery picture up again.
Yeah, do that.
It's not just the casing that's plastic. The whole damn battery is plastic.
Yes, everything inside it is, well, not everything, but the bulk of the solid
I
material.
got something to say about that because it came
Okay.
off. The conductive polymers replace the lithium and lead typically found in batteries. And lead's cheap, but lithium's expensive.
Yeah,
By using materials that can be easily created
Yes.
with widely available industrial chemicals,
yes.
they offer a less expensive and longer lasting alternative to lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you know, you've heard me say on a show that in the 4 years I studied electrical engineering, we spent 47 minutes talking about batteries.
Yes, I
And
remember that.
That's rather that's 47 minutes is not an accurate number. It's just a number.
It's a number you made up.
But the
for
point
the
of the
occasion.
point of it is batteries weren't very important then, and now they are.
They have become very important in the last few years. And we've got batteries going up that are unbelievable. They're so big, even by comparison to the unbelievable things that appeared 5 years ago.
Well, now that there is a strong demand for batteries,
Yeah,
people are starting to look at them and
Yes,
look at new ways of
absolutely.
making them.
absolutely.
We've talked about several on the show here.
Yes, we have.
What we haven't talked about, we don't even know about. You know? But some of these guys are really doing some interesting work.
Absolutely, they are. Okay,
Well,
our
the
next
picture coming up.
our next item is from Balkan Green Energy News.
Well, that's called a solar system, and that's not what I think of when I think of the word solar system.
You know, it's funny. My reaction to that term was what you're just having now. When I first started doing the show, and today, if somebody says solar system, I'm going to think about solar panels.
That's what you think about.
Yeah,
huh?
this picture.
Well, the world's renewable energy capacity, okay, the
Yep.
operative word there is capacity,
Yes.
surpassed 3 terawatts in 2021.
Yeah.
And for the uninitiated, a terawatt is 1 trillion watts.
Yes. And it's also 1,000 gigawatts, and a gigawatt is
A
what?
gigawatt is a megawatt.
There you go.
So this is a bigger megawatt.
This is 1,000 gigawatts.
bigger watt.
Bigger watt.
Well, renewable energy continued to grow in 2021.
Yes.
Hydropower accounted for the largest share.
Yeah. I haven't read the synopsis
Well,
yet.
why don't you read the synopsis?
Let's do that. Renewable energy accounted for 38.3% of global electric generation capacity at the end of last year, compared to 36.6% in 2020. That's from 36.6 to 38.3. And this is according to the International Renewable Energy Agency. In its annual statistical report, renewables grew by 9.1% overall and reached 3.06 terawatts. And I should point out, having 38% of the capacity doesn't mean you're generating 38% of the electricity.
Well, the operative word there is capacity.
That's right.
Capability.
It's the capability.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, your solar capability is not going to be generating anything.
Good point.
So if you've got 3 terawatts of capacity, that may be the equivalent of 1.5 terawatts of nuclear capacity or coal capacity. It depends upon
it's
how
the
the
capacity, the potential.
It's the potential. That's right. And you have a capacity factor that you can run things through to find out what it actually is.
Well, it varies, you know. I mean, the wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine, you know.
And one wind farm is not equal to another.
Yeah.
Okay, we're up to Friday,
here.
April 15th, and we have a picture of a bus.
Let's take a look
That's
at
a Bermuda bus.
there. Is that a Bermuda bus?
Well, it has palm trees in the background. I'm pretty sure that actually is from Bermuda.
Well, they're talking about Bermuda.
It comes from the picture came from the
from
government.
the Bermuda government.
Yeah, that's right. This is from Clean Technica. What do you got for a title?
Bermuda
Holy
electrifies 1/3 of its public bus fleet. Oh,
okay. Bermuda Department of Public Transportation launched the first of 30 electric buses into service. 1/3 of its public bus fleet. The electric buses are replacing old diesel-powered buses, cutting capital, maintenance, and operation costs in half.
Well, electric buses are a match made in heaven. I mean, they're perfect,
absolutely. They say that this will save Bermuda $10 million over the lifetime.
Well, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that because of the maintenance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what they're really talking about, maintenance, and you don't spend a lot of gasoline on these buses.
Not much at all.
The exhaust systems last forever.
Well, Bermuda plans to fully electrify public transport by 2030.
Yeah,
that's coming up pretty soon.
It's coming up pretty soon.
Due to cost savings, Bermuda will be able to add more buses.
Yes.
Buses will be quieter.
Yes.
Cleaner.
Yes.
And less expensive than the existing diesel fleet.
I still won't be able to afford one. Anyway, you want to go to the next one?
Well, the buses will avoid emissions equivalent to removing 1,500 cars a year. This is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it is. Can they fit 1,500 cars in Bermuda?
If they're very, very careful.
Okay. Our next item is from Clean Technica, and we have a picture of a container ship.
Picture of that container ship up.
There you go.
And they call it a container ship. And you can see all the containers on it.
I called it a container ship.
Oh, it is.
I found that picture and gave it the caption.
Aha.
But
finding the invisible climate killer, so-called green ships.
Yeah. Liquefied natural gas-powered ships look clean, but they have a dirty, invisible secret, which is methane. In fact, about 80% of Europe's LNG used by ships today are worse than the climate, worse for the climate than fuels they replace due to emissions of methane, which is roughly 80 times more warming than carbon dioxide. This is a serious problem because what they have had in the past is ships that are powered by bunker fuel.
Which is as dirty as you can get.
It's as dirty as you can get. And they just put out smoke like mad, and nobody cares because they're out at sea. They're not on anybody's national waters. Okay, you replace them with liquefied natural gas ships, and they don't smoke.
You can't see the smog, but it's still happening.
But they put out methane, and the methane is far worse in some ways
than the smoke. Well, I got a couple of things here.
Okay.
On paper, liquid natural gas powered ships emit less.
Yes.
Okay. There is no dark smog.
Yes.
But invisible to the naked eye, they possess a dirty secret.
Yes.
And you're going to tell us what that secret is.
It's methane, as they say.
Yes.
As they say in Europe.
Roughly 80% of Europe's liquid natural gas used by ships today are worse for the climate than the fuels they replace.
There you go.
Due to the unintentional release of this potent gas, which is over 80 times more warming than carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Across the gas supply chain, uncombusted methane leaks into the atmosphere, and it is warming the planet faster.
Yes.
And you don't even see it happen.
However, there is a good side to that, and that is the methane is destroyed in nature fairly quickly, and so it'll reduce if we stop emitting methane.
CO2 stays in there forever, and
until it's pulled out by some tree or something. Okay.
Well, there are clean alternatives
to methane
that exist.
Yes.
Liquid natural gas is a fossil fuel.
Yeah.
Duh.
Duh.
Fossil gas has no role to play in the future of green shipping.
Yeah.
Okay? Europe must end its dirty secret at sea. And this is the takeaway. Green, hydrogen-based fuels can massively reduce shipping's climate impact.
Absolutely. And you can manufacture those using when you say green, that means it comes mostly
everything in the supply chain is green.
Right. Okay, we should keep going.
Yeah, we got another picture coming up
We
here.
do indeed. And this is about the Ukraine war, and this is from Clean Technica. I'm sorry, I've got the wrong thing. This is from the BBC, and it is about the Ukraine war.
Well, it is about the Ukraine war. So Ukraine's President Zelensky to the BBC, quote, blood money being paid for Russian oil.
All right, now this is a point that we have talked about on this show before.
We've talked about it off the air, too.
Yeah.
This is serious.
This war is about fossil fuels, in my opinion.
Okay.
The Russian Putin is scared because he can see that the world is going to stop buying.
Well, Putin's making a lot of money selling oil.
Yeah, and they're going to stop buying it because they want to stop climate change.
Yeah.
So what he's trying to do is to make sure that he's got some income out of something that they're going to stop buying. And I think that what he's doing is he's working on a strategy that says, make things as chaotic as possible, and then we're going to try to get something out of it, which is not really thought through. And fortunately for the world, the thing that he's trying to do is backfiring very badly.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
It seems that
In
way.
an interview with the BBC, President Zelensky spoke to continued purchases of Russian oil. He singled out Germany and Hungary, accusing them of blocking efforts to embargo energy sales, from which Russia stands to make up to $250 billion this year.
No, it's billion pounds.
You're right, billion pounds.
$326 billion.
326, that's almost $1 billion a day.
Yeah.
And
Well, the key word is now.
yeah,
It is no longer an issue of business and money. It is an issue of survival.
right. Right. And Germany has said they are going to stop buying Russian oil this year. By the end of the year, they're going to be out of that business.
Well, let's see when it happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's move a little closer to home here.
We have, this is Saturday, April
I'm
16th,
gonna pull
and an
that picture
item
up
from
there.
Clean Technica. And
That's a
picture,
solar array in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and you can see the new Manhattan skyline in the background.
Well, we talked about this a long, long time ago.
Yes, we did.
This is all being done by individuals in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yep.
This isn't the government doing this.
Yep.
It's a solar array in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And it says that New York is to have 10 gigawatts of distributed solar energy by 2030.
And 10 gigawatts is what, Tom?
Bigawatts, baby, bigawatts.
We don't use old jokes here. We always come up with something new. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, in advance of Earth Week, announced that the State Public Service Commission has approved a framework for New York to achieve at least 10 gigawatts of distributed solar by 2030. That would supply annual needs of about 700,000 average homes. Now, this is distributed solar, and that picture that we had there of solar on a rooftop, that's distributed.
That's distributed, yeah.
Yeah, if you've got solar on your rooftop at home, you're adding to distributed solar. So that's what they're pushing on.
I'm surprised in that picture we don't see more roofs like that.
Well, yeah, they have just started this.
We talked about it a long time ago
We did
on
indeed.
a show.
And it was an interesting operation that was
It
being
was
done
strictly local.
by
People doing it for themselves.
Yep. Okay, now I promised an article about miscanthus, unless you've got more about that one.
Well, the state's Climate Act,
Yes.
that's New York, mandates generating 70% of the state's electricity from renewables by 2030.
Yeah, this is not trivial.
Not at all. Extending the state's successful initiative provides the most efficient and cost-effective plan forward.
Yep.
Let's move along here.
Okay, our next
we got
item.
a very interesting picture
This
here.
is a picture of miscanthus, which is grass. This is a perennial grass.
That's nice grass. I'd hate to have to mow that.
That grows very tall.
Well, it says 10 feet, but I'm looking at a picture where it's 12 feet, unless that guy is awful short.
Well, he might be awfully short, but what can I say? This is, that particular picture did not come with the article, I don't think. I think it was one that I pulled out of Wikipedia. This is from earth.com. What do you got for a title?
Aha.
That's the title?
Well, let me put me up. Growing perennial grasses could help curb climate change.
Yeah, and this was
there's a
something...
picture of some perennial grasses.
I was surprised when I read this. This is a good article. Climate change is driving up temperatures and causing more frequent heat waves in the American Midwest. But according to a study led by the University of Maryland, growing the perennial grass, this is a giant miscanthus, is what they call the grass, could cut Midwest warming by 1 degree Celsius.
That's significant.
It sure is. And I was thinking when I read that, in the old days, when European civilization started to impinge on the Great Plains, the Great Plains had huge grass on it, and the bison survived on that grass. No cow
did very well.
They did very well. No cow is going to eat this grass and feel satisfied with it because it's going to be tough.
Got awful long legs.
Well, yeah. The stuff is just too tough.
Well, this plant is non-invasive.
Yes.
Water efficient.
Yes.
Requires little fertilizer.
Yes.
Can grow on marginal land.
Yes.
And the Midwest U.S. heartland could offer the perfect conditions for the cultivation of this
Isn't that
grape.
fun?
Growing miscanthus on marginal land. This is important. Can reduce soil erosion, restore carbon stocks, and provide feedstocks for bioproducts.
And they're talking about they were a couple of years ago talking about growing this exact same plant instead of corn for ethanol. So
they were, huh?
Now
it can be an effective mitigation strategy to contain regional climate change.
I want to tell you something about this.
Well, you're going to.
I am.
Whether I want to or not.
The same day I saw this article, I saw another article that wasn't about climate change or energy, so it didn't make it into the blog. But it was a fascinating article about a strain of daffodil.
Daffodils.
Yeah, that will grow in marginal land on hillsides.
Okay.
And somebody in the UK
that makes sense.
Wants to plant hillsides in Wales with huge daffodil farms.
Daffodils.
Because daffodils provide a chemical that has already been approved as a drug for treating Alzheimer's disease.
Is that so?
Yeah. I don't know that it's been approved in the United States, but it apparently has been.
Okay, so people are going to go out in the fields and eat daffodils.
No, I don't think so. I think daffodils may be poisonous, as a matter of fact, to eat.
Well, we're going to move along. We're going to look at something that none of us recognize.
Oh, what is it? I recognize it. It says it's a pump jack, so I don't have to.
I would call it a nodding donkey, but...
It's also a nodding donkey. Okay, this is from CNN.
Biden administration announces it will resume onshore oil and gas lease sales with a higher royalty rate.
I'm really getting a little bit fed up of what's going on in Washington,
D.C. This is kind of crazy.
The Interior Department announced it plans to resume onshore oil and gas leases on federal land. The royalty rate for companies to pay to the federal government will be higher. The Bureau of Land Management will issue notices on Monday. Now, this was
They're still going to be boosting fossil fuels.
Well, that's what he's trying to do. He wants to boost fossil fuels, to sell the fossil fuels to Europe, so the Europeans don't have to buy fossil fuels from Russia.
Oh, okay.
And I think it would make much better sense to get into gear to manufacture large amounts of renewable energy infrastructure.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Who makes money on that?
Well, whoever's manufacturing it,
Well,
which could be the United
that's not
States.
Exxon.
No, it's not Exxon.
Well,
That's
the
right.
royalty increase comes after the Interior Department recommended rates be increased for more of a return to taxpayers. So that part of this is supposedly good.
Yeah.
It's the first time the federal government has ever increased what companies pay to drill for oil and gas on public land.
Mm-hmm.
The federal oil and gas leasing programs have prioritized the wants of the extractive industry.
Yes, well, that's what they've always done.
It's always done that.
Okay, we're up to Sunday, the 17th of April, and we have a
We've got
picture
a picture here of a guy.
who
He's
has,
talking to his plants.
Yeah, in Norwegian.
In Norwegian. And there they are, grapes.
Yeah, and
They're nice looking grapes.
they are nice looking grapes, and this picture did come with the article, which is from the BBC.
We're making wine in Norway.
Uh-oh. The fjords don't freeze anymore, and it rains when it used to snow.
That's interesting.
Norwegian winemaker Bjorn Bergum has plants that grow at 61 degrees north of the equator, far outside the 30 degree to 50 degree latitude traditionally considered optimum for wine production. But the climate is pushing vineyards farther north of the equator. And you know, Tom, when I read this article, I thought, there are people who say climate change is good because it means that we're going to have agricultural land that we can use that's farther
All the way
north.
up in the north, yep.
But you know, for every orchard that opens up in Norway, there's going to be something, I would bet, something like 10 closing down in Spain and Italy and Greece. No, do we really need to have orchards in Norway?
Well, ask the Norwegians that.
They've always done well on mead, which is made from honey.
Well, Bjorn's vineyard is at the farthest reaches of these new limits,
Yes.
okay? The vines grow on slopes which catch the sun,
Yes.
okay? A secret ingredient, they say, is the quality of the light this far north.
Yeah.
Okay, the trends are absolutely clear. A lot of our cool climate limits have changed, as you just
Yes.
said. They've gone further north in the northern hemisphere and further south in the southern hemisphere.
My daughter, who lives in Scotland with her husband,
She's here. She's in.
she's
town,
in
isn't
Brattleboro today, and I have a son and his wife and daughter who are here from Wisconsin also, and then my other son is going to come up from Connecticut. My son from Connecticut is furious.
she? Why?
He got his injections for COVID-19,
When they get sick.
and he got the booster, so he had 3 shots. After each of those 3 shots, he was out completely for 3 days.
I'll be darned. It ain't supposed to happen that
Each
way.
one was worse than the previous one.
That's supposed to
and
happen.
he got COVID anyway.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, yeah, where are we?
We're moving right along here. We got a picture coming up.
We have a picture of Marine Le Pen. Marine
Well,
Le
take a
Pen.
look at her.
Yeah,
And she is an extreme right-winger.
extreme right-winger. We have an article here from Autoblog. What do you got?
Le Pen, that's her, puts a fuel tax cut and a wind crackdown at the heart of France's energy plan.
Yeah, she also is not at all unhappy about Russia invading the Ukraine. She thinks that's just dandy, or at any rate, she's not condemning them. French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen is campaigning on promises to cut taxes on gasoline and heating oil and natural gas and electricity so people will use more. People that will use more part, that wasn't in the article. She would crack down on wind turbines. So no more horrible things. Build 20 new nuclear power plants. Yeah. And exit from Europe's electricity market. And I got to tell you, Tom, and I'll bet you'll agree with this, if she gets elected and does all that, the French are in deep trouble because they won't be able to pay for it.
Well, the present president of France, a guy named Macron,
Yeah.
he's not very popular.
He's still ahead
He's
of her.
ahead of her.
Yeah.
At least in the first round of votes.
Yes.
But he's not very popular. And she is a weirdo, really. She's extreme. She is from the extreme right National Rally Party.
Yes.
She is very, very far to the right.
Yep. Okay, we should probably get away from that.
I think we should. We got an interesting picture here of a cable laying ship.
Yeah, this is a cable laying ship, and this particular article comes from a website called oilprice.com.
You could fool me. Invisible energy highways could usher in a new era of shared power.
Undersea electric cables could become more common as governments drive their energy strategies toward renewables. As countries develop wind and solar power, there will be a greater incentive to build undersea cables that can promote power sharing across regions.
I think we just saw one last week from Morocco up to Great Britain.
It was from Ireland to Britain, but there is...
No, there's another one going from Africa.
There is. And we talked about that.
I mean, it's about...
Yeah, it's thousands of
miles long.
Yeah, really long. And we did talk about it last week. You're right about that. It wasn't the
Well, what I'm just going to mention is the one we talked about. First of many new undersea cables covers a distance of 450 miles between the UK and Germany.
Yes.
Okay? It's allowing 1.4 gigawatts, that's gigawatts, boys,
that's right,
of electricity to go to and from these two countries.
Yes, and
they're not both generating at the same time,
Yeah.
so this is cool.
Yeah. There is already one from Norway to, I think, the Netherlands.
Well, a North Sea Link is a joint venture between Britain's National Grid and Norway's Statnett.
Okay, that's
the one we're talking about. And the two countries want to share Norway's hydropower
right.
and the UK's wind energy. I mean, so it makes sense.
It does. Okay.
Well, sanctions on Russia
Yes.
have driven European governments to seek alternative energy sources much more rapidly.
Yes.
Okay, they're getting worried.
Yes, absolutely. Okay,
I think we covered that one, so let's look at another picture coming up.
Our next one is, we're up to Monday, April 18th.
Well, that is an aeroplane and a whole bunch of ships in Singapore.
It's a lot of ships.
And by the way, Singapore is a very small country, but it's a very important one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's the headquarters in the Pacific of many countries.
It controls the Straits of Malacca.
Bingo.
That's
yeah.
Absolutely. I knew what the Straits of Malacca was when I was not much more than a toddler.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
How'd you know that?
Well, because my father was in the Second World War.
He was in the sailor. He was a sailor,
in the Navy.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he
Navy
was
captain.
He eventually retired from the Navy Reserve as a captain, but he was regular Navy from before the war started until after it ended. And his ship was at Pearl Harbor, and he had 13 battle stars. So, you know,
He was in the middle of the action.
He was in the middle of the action. Nobody in the Pacific had more battle stars than he did. There were ships, but not people. And there were other people who were tied with him on that. But, you know, my older brother was fascinated by this. I was fascinated by it. And we used to talk about things like the Japanese, you know, capturing Singapore and what the effect of that was on,
That's interesting.
you know. And
I would have known nothing about it when I was that age.
my father saw the battleship Fuso cut in half.
Battleship who?
Fuso.
Fuso.
It was
Japanese battleship.
It was cut in half by torpedoes from American destroyers.
Oh boy.
And you know, this was he was on the island of Corregidor the day before the Marines landed.
No kidding.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about this guy.
We're diverting here from where we should be. This is from GreenBiz.
How climate change is disrupting the global supply chain.
The COVID pandemic has rightly received most of the blame for global supply chain upheavals in the last 2 years, but the less publicized threat to supply chains is from climate change poses a far more serious threat and is already being felt, according to scholars and experts.
Well, here's why. The pandemic
Yeah.
is a temporary problem,
Yes.
okay? While climate change is a slow-moving crisis that will last a very long time.
Yes, and getting worse for a very long
And
time.
it's going to require some fundamental changes.
Yes.
All of climate change's threats, sea level rise is the biggest. And we've talked about that on the show.
There are places where you can't use docks that exist.
Oh, yeah.
And this is...
There's islands that are looking at possibly going out of existence.
Yes.
Island nations.
Yeah. The Marshalls,
The Marshalls.
which has graveyards where Americans are buried from the Second World War.
II.
And they are going to sink. So are we going to let our servicemen who died in the Second World War sink? Of course we are. Okay, our next one is from the BBC.
And we got a picture
And we have a
coming up
picture
here.
of weird light.
This is very interesting because the potential for these things happening is enormous.
I think you're right, Tom. I think you're absolutely right.
I mean, these are living lights.
Yes, and they're planning on
There's bacteria in there.
installing them to light streets.
Well, they're not very bright, but the article says that they have capability of becoming much brighter, which I'll mention.
Well, I'm not very bright, but my teachers used to say that I could play music, I think.
Well, this is the title of the article. The French town where the lighting is alive.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
French startup Glowy.
Clever name.
Clever name. I think that's probably pronounced glowy, even though it's French, is making bioluminescent lights.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, unlike standard streetlights, which emit harsh glare and need to be hooked up to an electric grid, these otherworldly lights are powered by living organisms. Their light has a very soft quality. They will be installed in public places as a test.
Well, this is what's called bioluminescence.
Right.
Okay? And it's where chemical reactions inside an organism's body produce light.
Yes.
And I've been through the woods at night and seen glowing mushrooms.
Yes, bioluminescent
Just
mushrooms.
ordinary, I had nothing to do with it.
It wasn't your fault. They have a picture of a glowing mushroom in the article, and they also have a picture of a wave that is glowing on the edge of the shore.
Yes, this is interesting. Organisms as diverse as fireflies, fungi, and fish have the ability to glow through bioluminescence.
Right.
Can we harness them to light our towns and cities?
You know, Tom, this is a funny thing. They have these old urns from ancient Greece that were put into tripods. They have no feet of their own. They come down to a point, and the shape of them, they come up, and then they go in like this, and then there's a very thin neck that goes up. And nobody ever knew what they were for, but somebody has found
They glow.
pitch and carbon inside, which is things that you would have in there if they were batteries. And I've thought sometimes maybe they had some way of using a very low voltage out of these things, which were big. They'd last for a very long time, and just putting some kind of globe or something on top of
They
it.
certainly could have very different technology than we have.
Right, and use that to use water from the Aegean Sea or wherever to put in there so that the whatever is living in the water would glow. So they could use these things
These
as
guys,
lights.
they had some stuff going on that we don't even know about.
They had stuff going on, yes. They
Well,
certainly
Glowy,
Yeah.
the brand,
Yeah,
bioluminescent bulbs use electricity to run than LEDs,
yeah,
but they produce less light.
yeah.
And the Russian engineers, this is interesting, have found that by altering the genetic structure of luciferase, named after the devil.
No, it was actually named luciferase in the 19th century, and it was called luciferase.
Well,
because
Lucifer
it makes
has
light.
to do with light.
Yes, Lucifer is a
Lucifer
light
means
bearer.
light bearer, right?
That's right.
Found in a deep
I
sea.
looked it up.
Well, luciferase found in a deep sea shrimp could increase in brightness, the Russian engineers. So there's a possibility.
Yeah.
The resulting enzyme was 150 times brighter than the luciferases found in fireflies.
Wow.
So there's a potential here
to make it bright.
to make it usefully bright.
Really bright.
Yes.
Okay, we have an item from the Marine Executive.
Well,
and
we got a picture here
that
of
is
a tidal turbine.
And
While
you
they're
can-
installing the tidal
Yeah,
turbine.
you can see the turbine.
That's that little thing looks like an airplane.
At the stern of the ship on
Yeah.
the left side. There's a crane holding it, and they're putting it
And
into
it's
the
got
water.
the three vanes.
Those ships
It's like a wind turbine, but much smaller.
Those ships just look so bizarre, don't they, Tom? I'm thinking of the fact that the bridge is up front and it's got a heliport above it. You know, it just looks
A
so
big
strange.
crane in the back.
Big crane in the back, something in the middle. Okay, what do you have for a title?
Tidal power is set for a commercial breakthrough in the UK.
Wow.
Now, this is something we as a civilization has been missing.
Yes, tidal energy has long been lurking. Energy lurking? That's a weird idea. In the UK's renewable energy arsenal, outshone by wind and solar counterparts, due in part to early issues of technology readiness and high costs. But the recent research shows it could provide 11% of the energy needs of the UK.
Tidal
Electricity needs.
Tidal energy could
That's
produce a tenth,
Yeah.
11%
11%.
of what they are using in the UK.
Yep.
Well, for those who want to know, tides
Yes.
are large movements of water around the Earth,
Yes.
okay, powered by the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon.
And they're just going to keep going.
They keep going. In areas with particularly strong tides, we can harvest this power using turbines,
Yes.
which are similar to wind turbines but underwater.
And they keep trying to do that. What's the tidal estuary in Canada?
The Bay of Fundy,
That's right. They have tried
biggest
over,
tides in the world, 14 feet.
and they have
And it's only about a mile from Maine.
yeah, and they've tried over and over and over to put tidal turbines in there, and the tides are powerful enough to rip them
They
away.
rip them apart.
Yeah.
They're too strong.
We are up to Tuesday, April 19th, and we have a picture of a Hummer EV SUV.
That's criminal.
and well, that's what the article says. And this comes from Clean Technica.
Well, let's get a picture of that Hummer.
Yeah, let's do that.
Bring it up.
So people can see. And by the way, they didn't say so, but I think the reason they're driving that through water is to show that it's not going to short circuit when it hits a puddle. Okay, what do you got for a title?
EVs, quote, or colon, the rise of the electron monsters. Do we really need 9,000-pound electric vehicles?
Right.
Well, the answer to that is no.
I don't think so. Back in the 70s, people made up the phrase gas guzzler to describe vehicles that consumed way too much gasoline. Now we have some EVs that consume way too much raw materials and electricity, far more than is wise in a world that needs to transition quickly.
This is interesting. Ford, GM, and Chrysler have all stopped producing economical cars. I never realized that.
That's
All
what
they
we
make
need.
today are muscle cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks.
That's what people
This
want to buy.
is no accident.
No, it's not
Okay?
an accident.
The Hummer EV is an electric truck with 1,000 horsepower. Its EPA rating is a miserably low 47 miles per gallon electric equivalent, which I don't quite understand what.
They're figuring out.
I mean, I don't know
you
what they're saying, but
They're
I
just-
don't relate to it.
Well, I'm not surprised. Neither does anybody
Well, this
else.
47 miles per gallon electric equivalent is about a third of a Tesla Model Y, which is not a pickup truck.
And it's also not exactly a chintzy little car that has a top speed of 40.
No, it's a decent car.
Yeah.
Well, imagine a new paradigm
I love that word.
in which resources are allocated to making EVs that ordinary people can actually afford.
There you go. Okay, should we go on?
I think we should.
Okay, we have a picture of
Nice
trees and
picture
snow.
here. Yeah.
A pretty picture. Okay, and this one comes
We may be
from-
getting snow by the end of this week.
Are we?
There's a snowstorm. There's a big snowstorm in the central U.S. And it looks like it's going to avoid us, but
Okay. This is from CNN.
well, I remember in April, and it's April now,
Yeah.
when I lived in Wardsboro, we had almost 4 feet of snow.
There
And
was
it melted overnight.
what? Oh, wow. We had we don't have time to talk about my recollections, but go ahead. What's the
Natural gas spikes to the highest level since 2008 as a rare nor'easter looms.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about. It's in the
I think it's already happened. I think it went
no,
by.
it's big in the Midwest,
Okay.
and it probably will avoid us.
Okay. I've got a son and his wife and daughter who have to drive back to Wisconsin, so
They might be driving. It'll probably be gone by the time they go.
yeah, natural gas futures surged to levels unseen since 2008 as the Northeast braces for a rare April blast of heavy snow. Natural gas futures soared 9% to $7.96 per million BTUs in recent trading, leaving natural gas prices up a staggering 113% since the end of last year.
Yeah, that's more than double.
It's more than double. That's right.
Well, another factor, high coal prices mean power plants may not be willing to switch away from natural gas as a backup plan.
Yes.
Okay? The traditional relief valve of shifting to coal is less likely because the coal's getting expensive too.
Yes.
The war in Ukraine does not appear to be a central driver of the supply and demand situation for natural gas.
Right.
That's just happening. You know?
Yes.
The United States has maxed out the amount of liquefied natural gas it can send to Europe.
Right.
Okay, we're through.
We have gone as far as we can go without building new ships.
High prices will incentivize greater U.S. supply, and noted that consumers overseas are paying far higher prices.
Right. Okay, our next picture is, I don't know what that is.
Another nice picture of a wind turbine. How about that? That's a wind turbine.
My gosh, I
There's
think you're
several
right.
wind turbines.
This is from Clean Technica.
Well, according to this article, wind turbines can stabilize the grid.
This is a really interesting development in a milestone.
It is interesting.
It is. For renewable energy integration, General Electric and the National Renewable Energy Laboratory operated on a common class of wind turbines in grid forming mode, which is when the generator can set voltage and frequency and, if necessary, operate without power from the electric grid. Well, by golly.
Well, according to the article, large spinning generators,
Yes.
traditional generators, have traditionally helped keep the power grid's frequency and voltage steady.
Yes.
And it's very important because
It is
all of our
very
clocks
important.
depend on it.
All of our clocks, and in
And
fact,
a lot of industrial processes.
all of our electric motors depend upon operating within certain.
They're traveling at so many RPM.
They're going so many RPMs.
and
the
they
voltage
can't
is
go
certain.
much from that because strange things will happen.
That's right. They overheat. They burn out.
Well, for wind turbine fleets and other resources like solar PV and battery storage, grid forming controls could open a new market opportunity in a form of grid services. That is, grid stability as another valuable stream. They've often thought that because these windmills and stuff are variable, they couldn't stabilize the grid, and now they're finding out that they can.
Yes. Whenever you say opportunity,
Yeah,
I think of a joke.
and we're going to hear it.
No, I'm just going to give you the punchline. It's about, and tell you what it's about. It's about a piano tuner named Opernakady. and the punchline is Opernakady only tunes once. Okay, we're up to Wednesday.
Okay, we'll forget you didn't say
Wednesday,
that
April
one.
20th, and we
We
have
got
an
a picture
item from
here.
Clean Technica.
Let's get that picture.
This I thought was really interesting, and it's not just for the Ukraine; it's for everybody.
I'm trying to figure out
How to put the picture
Where-
up?
there
you
we
go. There
go.
it is. You have found the cursor. Do cursors curse? I think they do.
Well, I sometimes curse the cursor.
Yes.
Well, that's an interesting thing there. They're loading a bunch of PVs
That have been mounted.
on a trailer.
Yeah, they have been mounted.
They're loading a trailer onto a trailer.
That's right. What do you have for a title?
I bet you I can find it.
I bet you can.
Footprint product and new use energy provide Ukraine with solar microgrids.
The Footprint Project and New Use Energy, that New Use Energy is the name of an organization, teamed up to quickly provide Ukraine with solar microgrids. Will Heergaard, CEO of Footprint Energy, and Paul Schmotolakha.
We'll say Smith.
Smith? Okay. CEO of New Use Energy have been helping Ukrainians since Russia launched its invasion in February. The fact is they've been helping a lot of people. This article, by the way, is from Clean Tech.
Well, this is interesting because the mission of the Footprint Project is to provide disaster relief.
Yes.
Using solar microgrids.
Yes.
Okay. And renewable energy.
Yeah.
Okay, which the solar microgrids are.
Yeah.
New Use Energy provides solar microgrids and equipment such as headlamps, as well as humanitarian aid. And they took action to help the Ukrainians just after Russia launched its invasion in February.
Yeah. I am so tired of that horrible war. I wish it would just end. But
well, it doesn't even seem to make sense.
No, it makes no sense.
If you look at it from the Russian standpoint, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. and it has been pursued so badly by the Russians that aside from the fact that they're, I think, doing, well, I'm not going to go into it. PV Magazine.
Well, let's move along here.
And here's a picture of a
this is a solar park.
Solar park. And
that's a big solar park.
I think it's bigger than my yard.
I think so. Russia, no. Madhya Pradesh renewable energy capacity grew 32-fold in 12 years. Well, Madhya Pradesh is a state in India.
That's right.
Okay, so matter of fact, I think it's the northernmost state in India. It's up there.
I can't disagree with you. Madhya Pradesh, a state in India, has reached 5,152 megawatts of installed renewable energy
That's
capacity.
5 gigawatts.
It's
and gigawatts is gigawatts.
That's right. Compared to just 160 in the year 2010.
Now, that's quite an increase.
That's an increase. This includes 2,444 megawatts of wind power, 2,490 megawatts of solar power, 119 megawatts of biomass power, and 99 megawatts of small hydropower.
Well, this Rewa Ultra Mega Solar Project in Madhya Pradesh, which is pictured here,
Yeah.
okay, has a total capacity of 750 megawatts. That's significant.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the largest single-site solar projects in the world. And it's 2.5 square miles.
Right.
That's big.
Yes, it is.
It's about 1.5 miles square.
Yes. We are up to our last article, which is from Clean Technica, and our most boring picture. That's a
It is
Tesla.
a kind of a boring picture,
Yeah,
isn't it?
It looks like somebody has put 30 refrigerators
This looks like
together.
4 Tesla Megapacks.
There you go. This is labeled Tesla Megapack, but I think you're right, Tom. It should have been plural.
Well, Pacific
ahead.
Gas and Electric's Tesla Megapack is now operational.
Now, I was blown away by this. Pacific Gas and Electric's 182 megawatt Tesla Megapack Elkhorn battery is now in operation, according to the Associated Press. Included in the system are a total of 256 Tesla
That's
Megapacks.
256 of these guys.
Well, the picture that you're seeing, I think
There's
you
4
said
of
it
them.
was 4 of them. You can see a dividing
Yeah.
line in the middle of that
absolutely.
picture.
You
And
can see that's 4.
Yeah. And then you can see a dividing line on the side. So it is 4. So it's 64 of that big group that you see there on 33 concrete slabs. These have the capacity to store and dispatch 730 megawatt hours of energy to the grid.
That's a significant amount.
730 megawatt hours.
Megawatt hours.
That huge, huge, huge battery in South Australia that went up 5 years ago,
Yeah.
that was 130. It was just mind-blowingly big.
And this is
thing
730.
is 730.
Wow.
So this tells you. And you know, I think Elon Musk did the world a service when he said, I'll put this in 100 days or you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah. And he put
knew,
it up.
he knew he could do it.
Well,
And-
last year, Tesla built a factory specifically for these megapack batteries.
Right.
Not only did it create over 1,000 jobs for the San Joaquin County area of California, but the factory will help Tesla produce more megapacks to meet demand for its top-selling battery storage systems. They can't keep up with the demand.
Yes.
The International Energy Agency noted that in 2020, battery storage capacity additions rose to a record high of 5 gigawatts.
And this thing is 3/4 of 1 gigawatt, which means that the world capacity is
People are, well, the world is changing.
The
People
world
are
is
putting in
changing.
these storage things all over the place.
Yeah.
Big generating stations are on the way out.
yes.
It's distributed power's coming, and it's mostly going to be,
Absolutely.
well, in a generation, they're going to say, you know, back in those days, they used to pay for fuel.
Yeah.
The sun,
And people are still
wind blows for nothing, and
saying
the sun
we
never
need
shines.
baseload power in order to have electricity when we turn on the switch at 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning in the spring.
You expect to.
You expect to, but we don't need baseload power any more than we need Model A Fords anymore. And they come from the same time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do come from the same time. We've got a new paradigm.
We do that.
We do that. And we've also come to the end of the show. And we're suggesting to you that you have a phenomenally delightful week.
I hope it's phenomenally
Why don't you
delightful.
put
Not
that
just-
up so
not-
people can actually see?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, this is,
I'm looking at it.
there you go. And we could put ourselves up so that we could wave goodbye, which we always do, even if we're not showing it.
You all come back and see us
We
now.
just-
You hear?
we recycle jokes often. Okay.
Well,
Bye-bye.
recycling is good for the economy.
I think you're right.